Hello and welcome to another episode of Breaking Mayberry, the only podcast that's enhanced with 12 essential vitamins and minerals and has a great fruity flavor that kids love. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Marty Schneider.
I'm the other host, Dan Ludwig.
I expected more from that one.
We're just blowing past it.
And with us today is actor and clown extraordinaire Ciera Gardner hanging out with us. Ciera.
Hello.
Hi, Ciera. Would you like to introduce yourself to our listeners?
Yes, hi there, everybody. I'm Ciera Gardner, actor extraordinaire and clown. Very happy to be here on this podcast. Yeah, super excited. Thank you for bringing
Marty, you got the placement of extraordinaire wrong. It's actor extraordinaire, not clown extraordinaire. The actor is the primary.
I think Ciera is both.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. It's like one of those PEMDAS things where you have to have it in the parentheses and then you factor it in.
I need to know the order of operations.
Yes, there we go.
I think when you introduce yourself, you have to give your name, your pronouns, and then the order in which we need to put all of your titles.
Yes,
and that's just for everybody.
The qualification of extraordinaire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We might sneak an esquire in there as well, right?
Ooh,
actor
I like
extraordinaire,
that.
Clown esquire.
Ooh, I like that. That's my new thing. I'm gonna put that on my business cards now.
So,
or that could be your clowning theme.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah, an esquire clown.
A clown lawyer?
Yes, a clown lawyer. That's what I'm pitching.
Uh-huh.
Somewhere in the distance, my dad is yelling, "All lawyers are clowns!" And then,
yeah,
that's actually a great idea. I will do that.
I'm pitching it. I get 10% of whatever you earn as clown lawyer.
You pull the hula hoop out of a briefcase or something and assemble that, or open. I guess poi sticks. Maybe you open up the briefcase and you got the flaming poi sticks. That would be cool. I would see that.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
I would see that. So we had to bring it. We had to bring in Ciera because we're doing a theater episode today, an episode revolving around a play, and. Boy, Dan, remember how we were worried about season 5 getting stale and boring and not making us angry anymore?
Nope. Yeah. Don't worry. They always come through in the clutch. Just when you think it's getting repetitive, they find a new way to get weird.
This is the angriest I've been at this show. Not ever, but in a while.
In a hot minute.
I forgot how good it was to be angry at this show. Before we do that, I want to tell a story. I want to tell a story because there's someone out in the world I need to apologize to. Mm-hmm. We don't normally do toilet humor on this show. We don't normally, get into that realm. But something happened a few weeks ago that I need to talk about.
Okay, you've been sitting on this for a while.
I've been sitting on. You were a couple weeks ago. Dan and I went to Asbury Park, New Jersey, for my bachelor party, which happened 6 weeks after I got married because nothing makes sense.
Because we're not very together as human beings.
And we were on Asbury Park, and if you've never been there, Asbury Park has something very nice for a beach town. Along the beach, there are public restrooms. Those open all the time.
Yes.
Dan knows what the story I'm telling now. They are basically built out of shipping containers. They're basically built out of shipping containers, but they're clean. They're nice, as far as much of the beachfront public bathroom can be.
You don't have to tell the people about this, just to be very clear.
You can tell me about this.
Yeah.
I want to know.
Okay, go.
We're wandering along the boardwalk, and I have to pee. So I walk into this shipping container bathroom. There is a urinal and there is a stall. I go to the urinal. I am doing my business. Another man comes in and he stands at the stall and he begins to pee. I finish. I step away. It's an automatic flushing thing. So I walk over to the sink. I am washing my hands. And then I hear a thoom. And I look over and I say something that you never want to hear in a public restroom, which is, "Oh, dear God."
Oh, God.
Because the urinal has now turned into a fountain. It has backed up. I don't know how a urinal backs up, but it starts shooting out like the fountains outside of the Bellagio. Like, and I watch the water begin to. I'm out of the splash zone. I'm in a safe distance, but I watch it begin to pool up and flow under the stall. And the other man who walked in turns his head over his shoulder, and we make eye contact as I watch the water come to him, and I watch him just lift his ankle, like lift his toes up, just pitifully, and I tell him, "I'm sorry." And he's in midstream, and he says, "I can't stop." And I said another helpful thing, which was, "You better hurry." And then I left. And Dan, would you like to describe how I evacuated that bathroom?
We were just standing outside while he did this, and Marty like speed walks out of the bathroom, just going like, walk, we gotta go, come on, we gotta go, we have to go, and just is like taking off. And to our credit as a group of friends, we all just immediately went. Like, nobody was like, what's going on? We were all like, yep, okay, Marty did something terrible in the bathroom and we have to move quickly. Come on.
He was in flip-flops, guys.
Yes.
He was wearing flip-flops.
Oh, that's gross.
So
it's the eye contact
that gentleman,
for me.
Yeah. That's
so
what
that gentleman.
It makes it feel like in a movie, in one of those natural disaster movies, when you see somebody and don't save them. Like,
Phil Collins is gonna write a song about me because I screwed this up so badly.
I hope it's the best song ever. I mean, they think like a theme song to every time you go to a urinal now.
Yeah,
to a stall. Yeah. You could have turned it into a bidet, though. That was my first thought. If it starts shooting out, you
turned itself into a bidet.
It did. You turn around now, you pull your pants down, and then you just spread the cheeks, and then there you go.
Free bidet. Yeah.
Free bidet.
Yeah. You got at a public bathroom, normally you have to pay extra for that. Or really, yeah. No, that's the sign they slap on it is urinal temporarily bidet.
Yeah.
So to that other guy, if you're listening, I'm sorry, and I'll buy you a new pair of flip-flops, I guess. It's a 1,000,000,000 to 1 chance, but what if he was? What if he was like a regular Breaking Mayberry listener and he heard this and he was like, "That was fucking Marty?"
Yeah.
Like learning that Roman Mars cut you off in traffic, like.
It's gonna, like, what I hope happens is a bunch of people, like 8 people just text me, be like, "Hey, yeah, that was me. Send money for flip-flops." Like, you just get, like, conned by people.
We're about to get bombarded with 1-star reviews that all say, "This guy made toilet water fall on me once."
Oh.
All right, I think
flip-flops.
I'm glad I got that off my chest. I really wanted to tell that story. Let's go on to today's episode.
Well, first we got the question.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ciera, prior to us making you watch this, did you have any experience with the Andy Griffith Show?
Yes, but yeah, before you forced upon this episode, no, I'm joking. So yeah, I don't have much experience watching Andy Griffith. I grew up knowing about it. It was on TV Land. I would scroll past it. I never really watched it, but yeah, I guess the first thing I noticed was like, yeah, it's just these cops are just a show about these 2 cops that are supposed to be fun loving. Let's see what we get into here. So yeah, I don't know much about it until this episode.
It's like one of those shows that's in everybody's peripheral vision. Like, everybody we talked to was like, yeah, I was aware of the Andy Griffith Show all the time. It was what was always immediately before or after I was watching on Nick at Night or something like that.
Yeah, I knew it existed. I knew, like, okay, MASH existed, Andy Griffith. I watched I Love Lucy, so I feel like it was around, like, before it came on, before or after I Love Lucy would come on.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's as much as I knew about it.
Yeah.
Never watched it.
That's a funny thing we discover is, like, those 3 shows you just listed, I Love Lucy, The Andy Griffith Show, and MASH, those are 10 years apart. Each of those shows aired a decade apart. But, like, after a certain point, it's all just homogenous
together.
The past. It's all just old. And that's that's one of the things that I notice about this as we've done this so many times. And it's not just that young people who weren't around for it do that. the people who were there, they all kind of homogenize it as well at the same time. It's all just the same blur of time for them.
Have you had any like old TV, like this era TV, or that kind of thing that was your thing?
Like growing up, I mean, like if I were to watch like TV Land and stuff, like I mean, I watched like like the Jeffersons was a so I was into like that. But like, what do you mean? Like as far as like things that I enjoyed?
Yeah, like anything that like is like formative to you, I would say. Like
okay,
like the stuff you watch like late night.
Like
yeah. Okay, so wow. Brady Bunch was really big for me.
Bunch.
Yeah, that was weirdly formative as a kid. And then like of course like Nickelodeon was huge. All that I definitely watched Keenan and Kel. All that those were everything to me. Yeah, a lot of like Disney stuff, but like Brady Bunch for sure, because I think it was because my mom is older and she grew up in like the 60s and 70s, and she watched a lot of Brady Bunch. So I just thought it was like really hilarious that there was like so many kids running around that goddamn house. And yeah, it's just that Marsha scene with like throwing the football and then shattering that. Like there was just I'm a fan of the Brady Bunch. I don't get to talk about it enough.
There's so many children in this house. As a clown extraordinaire, I feel like I could put them all in a Volkswagen and pull them all out one at a time.
They're so silly. I loved the nanny though. God, what was her name?
The nanny rules.
Alice. Alice. Ass.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about The Nanny, like the show The Nanny.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Okay, we're still on Alice the Live-In.
Yeah.
Alice kind of ruled because she was on sort of a different show where they were all like super wholesome and stuff, and Alice would just come in and make a joke about fucking a butcher. Like she was just like kind of on a different wavelength.
Alice was in many ways the 70s answer to Aunt B.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yo, okay. We can the segue into this for sure.
Yeah.
Pew,
pew. I told you on podcast day we were talking about season 5, episode 11, The Pageant. Airs November 30th, 1964. Written by Harvey Bullock. Bullock. And directed by Gene Nelson. Here is the one-sentence summary from Wikipedia. Aunt B gets the lead in the Mayberry Centennial Pageant, but she proves to be a terrible actress. I take umbrage.
Disrespectful.
I take umbrage with this. Disrespect. The disrespect all throughout this episode for Aunt B. Like, all right, Ciera, let's just start here. Did you like this? Like, how overall, what are your feelings on this episode that we made you watch?
Well, I have jumbled feelings, but like about the actual play itself that they made, like
the in-universe play. We'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But I mean, like, my heart is with Aunt B through this whole episode. I'm not gonna lie. Like, she. I mean, we'll talk more about it, but like, she is the theater in her heart through and through. I feel like this was her time to shine and perform, and she was underestimated. So I'm just saying, like, we all have an Aunt B out there, and we all gotta support them.
Yeah, she like her whole the overall episode I did not care for, but the part of episode that's like her emotional journey. Loved it. I just didn't like all the stuff that was happening around her and to her. But like the big ending was like, oh, this is genuinely quite beautiful. The things she's like deciding and doing.
As we've been doing this for several years now, I've found that the angriest I get on this show, like, I'm numb to everything. Like the cop shit, the propaganda, I'm basically numb to. I'm like, I'm numb to at this point. The in-universe play in here is ridiculously like racist, even by 1960 standards. But I get the angriest when Andy just won't let his aunt have something. Just let her be happy.
Oh my God. I feel that exact. I'm not trying to cut you off. I'm so sorry.
No.
You have carte blanche to cut us off. You cut him off whenever you feel like it, and he just has to take it.
Shall we start at the beginning? We open up with Andy and Opie putting up an announcement on the board. where saying that it's Mayberry's centennial celebration, their 100-year celebration, which somebody in the Mayberry wiki pointed out that means that Mayberry would have been founded during the Civil War. So timeline on this does not make sense. Doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with the contents of the play. Definitely implies something happening in the 1700s.
Yeah. It should have been like a tricentennial or something like that. Ignore this. Ignore don't think about it too much. But yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. They do a little bit. I like this bit a bit where Barney tries to explain Latin to Opie, but he doesn't really understand it himself. They talk about the root word senti. They talk about how Latin people, in Latin, they don't have the word 100. And then there's a bit where Barney and Opie try to outdo each other on tongue twisters. I like, you know what? I like this scene. It's fine.
It was overall very cute. Like just an adult man and a child doing tongue twisters at each other as the adult takes it way too seriously. It's nice.
Which, I mean, as my first introduction into this show, it was very fun to see, like, a cop be very silly and just be very dumb. It was just very dumb cop, being emasculated by this child.
Yes.
Because these tongue twisters can be very hard. I also did feel for him, though. When we got into it, I was like, hey, I've also been there, dude. It is hard to do these damn tongue twisters, but you gotta get them right. And yeah, so I understood the difficulty of getting there as someone who had difficulty in speech.
And then you empathize with the feeling of getting absolutely wrecked by a child.
By a child,
yes.
Absolutely, yes. Because there are other people in class who like to just easily do it and like can say "rubber baby buggy bumper," and I'm like, "Fuck, God."
So the whole reason why they're doing tongue twisters is because Barney's bragging about his speech training because they're talking about a play that is going to happen as part of the Centennial Festival. They're going to have a play pageant, and Barney's talking as normal, bragging about his abilities as a thespian, and he talks about how his speech training has given him, the ability to do seashells, she sells by the seashore, and training exercises.
And bragging seems to be like a big theme in here, as it is with acting. As because acting is about bragging. No, I'm joking, but
I mean,
I do see.
Yeah, it is a profession where your ultimate goal is to make people pay for the honor of looking at you. So,
yes. It is.
Ciera, what is your favorite like backstage vocal warm up? Are you a unique New York kind of person, or
yeah, I can do a little unique New York. Red leather, yellow leather is a good one.
That's a good one.
Gutta butta, or gutta butta dubba gutta. Yeah, that's hard.
Can you run that by me one more time?
So it's gutta butta gutta butta dubba dubba gutta. Yeah, that one will mess you up.
Now do it 3 or 4 more times for me.
Oh, you're starting.
Sound like
edit
a
that into
lawnmower.
an isolated sound clip and post it too.
It's a jumbled mess, but
yes. All right, so I like Dan's note here. He says Aunt B enters and talks about cooking because that's all she ever gets to do.
Oh my god.
She used to be a much more like fully formed character with like hopes and dreams. This is the most she's been a person in seasons. Where like increasingly she's just been like a fried chicken delivery system. Like she's been like Rosie from the Jetsons. Like she enters, gives food, and then leaves. And this is like the first time in forever where she's like had any sort of internal life. Yeah.
And it gets mentioned, right? The idea of trying out for the play. And in the next scene, I also like this scene. This scene where they're at Andy's home, and they're at the Taylor household, and Aunt B is baking brownies, and she's talking herself into maybe I should try out for the play. But she's worried because her like frenemy, Ciera Gardner, that bitch, she's definitely gonna get the role because she always does, right?
Yeah, she always does. Yep. And As you see,
Cla-
it happened.
I also her name is Clara Edwards. Your name is
Okay.
Ciera Gardner.
I was like, wait a minute. I knew her name was Claire,
And
but
I-
I was like, okay, I'll let it slide. It's okay.
let me try that
I'll let it
again.
slide.
Let me try that again. I was looking at your name on the screen,
Mhm.
and Clara
We all
and
knew what you
Ciera
meant.
look very much
Yeah,
alike.
yeah.
So
We knew
that's
what you
gonna
meant.
be so
Keep
that's
trying
gonna
to dig
be
your way out
a
of this hole, bud.
Yeah.
so
No, it's okay.
so that's gonna be Patreon bonus material. I'll try that again.
Leave it in.
And so and Aunt B's like worried because her frenemy Clara Edwards is probably already gonna get the role, that bitch. And like that's Clara's whole deal on this show is she's just good at everything Aunt B is bad at. That's kind of like her whole role is to be a foil for Aunt B. But she's talking to
She
her
achieves
herself.
everything Aunt B wants out of life.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this scene too because like we haven't gotten a whole lot of Aunt B and Opie interacting in a while, which is weird because she's supposed to be raising him. And there's this bit where she's talking to herself and saying talking about like a church play she was in as a child, and the Reverend really liked it. She even goes back, this is so sad, she goes into her scrapbook and she finds herself like the church announcement from 1926 that has her in the in there. And the whole time Opie is just sitting there going, yeah, so about them brownies.
Like they just made them and just put them in. He's like so excited about this.
Just the absent-minded cruelty that a child is capable of just by not even paying attention, just stomp on your soul.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure that you were great as a kid, or your hopes or dreams are fantastic.
Yeah.
So what's the deal with powdered sugar around here? Are we
Exactly.
anti powdered sugar? What's up?
Like meanwhile, like everything has stopped for Aunt B. The spotlight has shone upon her. She has seen her calling. Her eyes brighten and her heart fills. And meanwhile, this little kid's like, "I'm gonna get some fucking brownies." I'm sorry, can I curse?
What
Sprinkles.
have you done for Opie lately, though?
Yeah.
What about sprinkles?
Yeah.
Where do we land on sprinkles?
Can you have this moment of internal awakening post brownies rather than pre? Like this whole thing is cool.
So far it's so good though. So far I'm on board. I like this bit. I like the Opie and Aunt B scene. I think it's sweet and funny. So far.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna get
and then we do a cut to the theater.
Okay, so there's a lot to dissect in this one scene. I think this is the most of it. Because they are rehearsing for a play, and the play is about how Mayberry was founded, which involves the founders dealing with indigenous peoples. Rendered
Don
in...
Knotts wears a headdress. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna cut you off, man.
Yeah.
Don Knotts wears a headdress. Let's not bounce
Don
around.
Knotts wears a headdress.
I would not say the most sensitive portrayal.
Don Knotts looks
some
like the former
failures.
logo of the Washington football team. Like there's no walking around this man. Like,
Oh no, it's rough, and I grabbed a couple of choice lines of he looks so warlike in his paint and feathers. Yeah.
Yeah.
At one point, not this scene, but I'm going to jump ahead. At one point, they demand an on-the-fly rewrite because Barney thinks that a line that he's delivering is not Indianish enough.
Oof.
He thinks that the line he's saying. So he plays the war chief Namatuk or something along those lines.
Nagatuk.
Nagatuk or something like that.
And Nagatuk speaks too much like a person, and not enough like a Disney character.
It also says like the real shit though. I mean like part of it is like also I think they're playing up the like the bad theater goers, or not bad theater goers, the bad theater makers who like make sensitive shows, I guess. But like it's, I don't know, I feel like they knew exactly like what they were doing in this show. So I kind of like appreciated, I guess, the satire of that rewrite, even though it was they could have did more, or they could have just not did it at all.
So
yeah.
let's. I don't mind us skipping around the scenes here. Let's talk about the play within the show, the play within a play here, because it's very weird. So this is a revisionist history of the founding of Mayberry. But even in this revisionist history, they make it a point to say, yeah, the white people came over here and broke every single treaty. Like, Don Knotts as Namatuk has a line where he says, look, you said you weren't going to go past that tree, and there you are building settlement past the tree. What's up, man? And that's the line they ask him to rewrite because he says something like, he refers to them as pale face. Pale faces are dishonest. I have no problem with that. Pale faces are dishonest,
Pale face never keeps his word.
Yeah,
pale face never keeps his word. That was it. And then they pause and like, can we Indian that up a little bit? Can we make that more? And what do they come up with? Like, pale face speaks with a forked tongue.
With a forked tongue. They're like, oh,
which
yes.
admittedly is a better line. Like, to be fair.
Is it? I mean, like, it's a white guy writing it. I think, like, and with a room full of all white people doing this play for white people, like, and like they're wearing a headdress, and they're like, you know what? I don't think like this character would actually feel this. Like, what do you know? You know, like
he said it doesn't feel like Nanatuk. I'm gonna pronounce the name. I can't remember. I should have written down what it fucking is. You know what, man?
It's a gibberish name. Yeah. I highly doubt there's an actual native name. It's
gonna be so mutated
here, so.
By the end of this episode.
I guess Naugatuck.
Yeah.
Naugatuck.
But it definitely like kind of has the thing of like he's talking like a person at first, and then they're like, "Can we like make this like some more writerly bullshit?"
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, like, he's like, it doesn't feel like Nanatuk, and we should take a moment to highlight how dog shit he is playing this fucking character, where he is, you know, just being himself, but worse on stage, and doing nothing with the character whatsoever. I mean, anything he could do with this character would probably be horrible. Like,
awful.
Yes, really. The more acting he does, the worse this would be.
Yeah.
Just numb awkwardness is really our best case scenario.
Here are my three favorite parts of this play. Number one is that the monologue that Aunt B gives, which is, it says, on the one hand, the followers of John Merriweather are coming in all the time. On the other hand, she calls them the noble red men. The noble red men who have been on this land for generations. These are two equal parties. These two are exactly the same and have the exact amount of claim to this land.
No.
Who will win?
Which I think they have an argument between Nanatuk and the settler leader that Andy is playing. And Nanatuk is like, hey, you're building houses on my land, and also other white people are coming with guns and shooting at us, and we're not a fan of that. And the settler's argument is like, I thought we were friends, man. Like, yeah, I thought we were. I've been nothing but nice to you. Okay?
We've smoked this peace pipe for so long, okay?
Yeah.
Like,
they are,
and now you're bringing land and being shot into it? Like, I sorry, I thought we had more of a relationship than that.
But that's my number two favorite part of this play, within a play, which is that, like, if you're gonna do revisionist history, do revisionist history, because even in the bullshit version of this story you're telling, you are still the bad guys very clearly. Like, like in this bullshit version of the history that you're telling, you still straight up broke your word and then decided not to break your word anymore.
Right. Like even if the Andy Griffith show wanted to make a satire on people creating plays doing revisionist history and making that a satire of like how badly like people during that time were representing people in like Native American culture, like and like colonization. If they were doing a satire about that, like part of that I can see it, but it was not it was not unfolded that way. Like either they could have leaned more into it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like if they'd heightened it, then you could have said that this was intentional.
Do you think that was intentional? And Dan, we have the background on this. Bullock? Do we think Bullock would do this? Bullock might. I don't know if some of the other writers would do that, but Bullock might be trying to pull that off. Ciera did that. That thought didn't even cross my mind because, quite frankly, it's 1965. The idea of irony has not even entered the lexicon.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I think they still did it a white person way from the 1960s. I feel like it was very... Part of me was like, oh, I think they were trying to like step their foot into the water of like bringing some kind of acknowledgement to people erasing history, you know, like with the with their or with the erasing history and like rewriting how things should have sound coming from a mouth that isn't yours, you know, like. So I think that forked tongue line was kind of like, oh, I guess, but like the blatant, because they were covering up from the actual blatant line, which was, you know, Paleface doesn't keep his word, which sounds really true to the, like, you know, the history and like that story that they were trying to tell.
It's kind of the thing that you run into with stuff from back then of like, was this pointed satire or were they just this dumb? Like it's the, because yeah, that's kind of the thing. It's like, yeah, I think of like if I could see the most realistic thing would be like a writer snuck this in and was like, I'm going to put some commentary in here, and, you know, it's the 60s, so everybody's drunk, so I won't really get a lot of resistance on it. Or it could just be that they thought this was fine, and I always struggle to figure out, like, which is it? Were they in on the joke or not?
Wait a minute. Dan, we get to bring this one back. Satire requires a point of purpose, lest it be mistaken for that which it's making fun of, Bullock. I'm Batman.
Yeah, Bullock's the cop in Batman, so we criticize him as Batman sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah. Not as good of a bit to do with a guest on it, because
I know. I wasn't gonna do it with the guest on, but it was right there. I had to.
Yeah,
demanded it. All right. But all that feeds into my number 3 favorite thing about this play within the episode, which is the closing monologue, in which the spirit of Lady Mayberry, the role that Aunt B is trying to play, says, I decree this land to both the natives and the followers of James Merriweather, and it will be called Mayberry, and they will have it together, which is why there are so many natives here, just off screen, being totally cool with the whole thing. Today, they're right there. and that's how they culminate. It's just like, it belongs to both of you.
No.
I would really like to see the entire script for this. I would like to figure out how you reach that resolution.
Yeah, that part, I was like, I don't know if that was like, if they were trying to, I was hoping that they were trying to make fun of it, but no, that was too much of that was too obviously not.
Too on the nose.
There. Too on the nose there. So I was like, oh, I don't know.
Well, there was an epilogue where the entire Native American population gets a new job in Chicago and has to move away, which they added in post.
They suddenly all had to move.
Everybody at the same time. They had to go.
Every Native in North Carolina all got jobs in Chicago.
Just like
they called it forced migration. Yeah, forced migration.
Yeah,
that's what they had to do.
Like Mayberry settlers, we've had a great time together, a lot of laughs, but we're gonna do a quick forced migration. It just seems like the right time. We've been talking about doing a forced migration forever, and
it's not a forced migration. They just all work at Deloitte now. They're just there's a whole floor of jobs opened up at Deloitte, and they just all ran right in. They're doing consulting now. They're doing fine. And that's why they're not in Mayberry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
also Vietnam.
Yeah. Also, Vietnam is happening right
They're
now.
also there.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the bit. Aunt B walks up. Oh, there is one line here, and I feel bad that I chuckled at it, but it was a rough chuckle where Andy says Barney, "Hey Barney, I know how you can improve your performance." And Barney says, "How?" Andy says, "There you go."
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
I'm not a good
to
person.
him.
I laughed at
Yeah.
it. I'm human. But Aunt B walks up. Aunt B goes to Mr. Masters. We've seen Masters before. He's always the theater guy or the like music instructor or something. We've seen this asshole several times before.
He's perpetually miserable. He is always being put upon by someone's shenanigans.
Yes. Wait, but I do want to say that it's something very, very tender about seeing these full-grown adults just be very, like, kind of, like, kid-like, on stage, which is really fun to see. But even though it's a really bad show, like, they're doing, like, really just dumb shit, yeah.
They are putting on basically a school play.
It is, that's what it gives school play, yeah.
This is less community theater and more like more like elementary school holiday pageant kind of deal. Mm-hmm. Like little kids forgetting their lines and such. Aunt B goes to
even those the supposedly good actors are very much like doing children's performances. Like you expect to see a dad with a camcorder just out of frame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Aunt B goes to Mr. Masters and says, "I'd like to talk to you about the part of Lady Mayberry." And Mr. Masters does a little like bit about yes, it's such an important role and so wonderful. Whoever does this has to be so graceful, and the costume that you make is gonna be so great because that's all you do is cooking and sewing. Stay there, stay in. Just breaks her heart. Just breaks.
What a great self-aware director to have.
Well, actually, all right. Now here's where your experience comes in. How would you rate Master's performance as a director? Like you're giving him a 1 out of 10. Where would you say this guy's at?
Oh my god, he was so bad. He was awful. Like I don't even know like what number I can rate him. Like, but just the fact that he is okay. I think Aunt B, she says this later on. She's like, I don't think that Masters is his name. Masters knows this character. Mrs. Mayberry or something like that. And I was like, you know what? That's a really good observation. I think in this, my view of this director is that he's so like swarmed up in his reputation, right? He mentions that later too. He's like, oh my God, I can see it right now. My reputation is crumbling before my eyes. And so he's one of those like living vicariously through like the actors. And just like trying to have his name up. So it's like, no, I think like he's a shitty director who is only caring about like the look of it and like names. So
like I feel like a director has more responsibility for like the emotional state of the people involved in the play. Like
absolutely,
he's fucking cutthroat. Like he's after like one night, he's like, dump her, get rid of her, she fucking sucks. And to jump ahead, he cuts Barney from his part mercilessly, like without even giving him a heads up. Like
and tell him nothing.
Yeah.
Like we're to jump into this when Aunt B does wind up taking the role, because Clara Edwards has to bow out because her sister is sick. Like she has a very bad first day at practice. And then we are told, we have to just take the man's word for it because they don't show us. We are told that Masters worked with Aunt B for 3 whole hours last night, and she didn't get any better. So obviously that's it, right? 3 whole hours, and she didn't become a great actress in that period of time.
And he said that so painfully. He's like, oh, God, I had to do my job with her. Ugh.
It's such a lazy throwaway line, too, right? Because it's like, that's the only indication we have that Masters did any work whatsoever to try. Like, that's our only indication.
But meanwhile, Miss B was like busting her ass. Like, you saw her when she was in that room when they were all just like chatting in the living room, like, "Oh, what are we gonna do about Clara? Like, she's sick or something like that, right?" And
let's talk about that scene.
Like, oh my god, I love that scene because she's just like, "Oh yes, and that's what I heard from this man who told me when I was in The Princess," or something like that.
Yeah.
So in this scene, at the Taylor's home, Andy is walking in with Mr. Masters, and they do announce that Clara had to drop out because because her sister was sick. And Aunt B sees this as her opportunity. And Frances Bavier, who plays Aunt B, finally gets to fucking do something, as Ciera pointed out.
And she fucking crushes. She kicks ass in this scene so much.
There's little bits there where Master says, "Where are we going to find someone who can emote and be heard?" And Aunt B says, "Yes, that is what the Reverend told me in my school play. We must all be heard." They say they need someone with grace and finesse, and she just starts sashaying around, like putting a napkin over her arm to do something. I'm not sure. I don't know what she's doing, but I love it. I love all of it. It's just a reminder that Frances Bavier is the best actor on the show and doesn't get to do dick.
So we're jumping ahead a little bit. Later in the show, it is established that Aunt B is supposedly a bad actor. And the things she has trouble with are remembering her lines, following stage direction. She can't find the entry point onto the stage. And she's like kind of wooden delivering her lines. And
she doesn't know where stage left is. Like that's...
Which...
It feels like that's a pretty...
That one seems super easy to resolve. Like,
feels like it's pretty easy to correct, right?
Yeah.
Gaffer tape.
One or the other one, but... If you're on the stage, I mean, like, yeah, if you're on the stage, then it's your right. But if you're facing the stage, then it'll be your left. But like, yeah, so it can be. So sometimes we get tripped up on that.
Yeah. So Ciera, Aunt B steps into the role. She delivers her terrible monologue about how both sides are equally at fault.
Terrible.
How bad is? Remember, this is a good actress playing a bad actress. How bad is it? Like from a theater perspective, how unfixable is this?
That's the thing. Though. She's not unfixable, and also like, why would you want to fix that? It was amazing. I was right with her every step of the way. Her intention, her gumption was there. I was just happy to see. She was like acting with her whole body, you know what I mean? You saw how she was flipping that scarf around her arm. She was using the props. She was taking the stage. She was moving her body around. And she was telling that story that she felt so connected to. Was it smooth and, no, it was not. But I think that she could have totally worked with the director. She wasn't too far gone. Just,
sand the edges off a little bit. I think she needed some, like, technical guidance, basically, some help with her lines, which they show her practicing, like, later, independently. Like, she's getting them down. Like
actors do.
Yeah.
It's so strange that she's the bad one when I find it hard to believe that she's that much worse than Andy or Barney are. Right? That's the problem I have, is like, they are also not delivering their lines in a particularly, Tony-winning manner. So I don't understand why Aunt B is the bad one. Yes, I do. She's a woman.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And also, like, it's the same thing that they've been doing to Aunt B for like 2 seasons now, where like, in order to make her funny, they have to make her completely stupid. Like, she can't figure out a curtain. Here is this woman who is a master in the kitchen and runs a household essentially, but she's confused by a curtain that opens in the middle. I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate it.
Also,
bad writing.
Yeah, for sure. Wait, why does she take care of them?
Unclear.
Unclear, right? And Andy's wife is
presumably
dead, probably.
Dead.
Presumably dead.
She's never been mentioned.
She's never been mentioned. Opie has never once said hey, where's my mom? The first episode of the series is Aunt B, who is Andy's aunt who raised Andy, coming to live with them to help take care of Opie, since Andy is a single father. And that is the background. That's it. Like,
but my thing was, I was watching it and I was like, okay, but you were telling Aunt B that, like, oh, I guess, like, we'll have to find somebody else to come and, like, help take care of us and, like, cook us food. But Andy's in the play, too. Like, you could be at home making food for your son, but you're like, oh, let me go do this play also. Like, hold on. Like, we need to have a woman in here to take care of the house.
So he gets to fuck off and do a play, but she has to stand around and do all this shit.
So let's get into that. Let's explain a good old-fashioned Andy Griffith emotional manipulation. It's not a con.
Yeah.
It's not an Andy Griffith con. No, it's an Andy Griffith just emotional manipulation of a woman who is very dear to me. Because now that he's realized, we have to get Aunt B out of the play, how can I do this? How can I work this angle? Rather than just go ahead and talk to her. By the way, we do find out that Clara Edwards is back in town and she can take the role. So it's up to Andy to convince Aunt B to step down. And since Andy's like incapable of having a conversation with anyone, his plan here, his shitty plan at this point, and I'm screaming at the TV, don't you fucking do it. Don't you fucking do it, Andy. Let her have this. Let her be happy. She raised you, you ungrateful son of a bitch. At this point, Andy's plan is to bring in Clara, and they pull the guilt Aunt B a little bit, like, oh, well, if you're gonna go to play practice, I guess we'll be eating in the diner for the next couple weeks. They've done this many times. They've shown Andy to be just incapable of cooking a fucking egg or whatever, that like learned helplessness that was popular in the 60s. So rather than Andy do anything, she brings in Clara Edwards. It's like, hey, here's Clara, this woman that you feel inferior to. Well, now she's taking care of your family, and she's going to take your role for the next couple of weeks.
With the strong implication that she's going to do it better than you ever could. So, just going from one inferiority complex to another.
And also, I'm just going to say this. Anybody else get the feeling that Clara was trying to fuck Andy?
Ooh.
Like what does Clara get out of this deal?
That she did not come across, but
she seems very excited. I mean, she seems very excited to me. She was they're like, oh, I can't wait. I'll be taking care of you boys for the next 2 weeks. It's going to be so great. And I don't know. She was giving him some glances. That's the only thing. Because again, the only
apple pie a lot. Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
What does she get out of the deal? She has a family of her own. What the fuck?
I don't know. I mean, she was written just to only have the impulse and the life's purpose, just to make apple pie and cook for these kids. That was
also
she just came out the womb like that with an apron.
Also, yet another reminder.
Do you think she was going for it? Yes or
no?
No,
I don't. I really don't.
That was just me. It was just me.
Listen, I wish I saw that too. I truly wish I saw that Clara was trying to fuck Andy. I wish I saw that, because I want to live in that world.
Also, this episode again forgets that Andy has a girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
Andy has a girlfriend. She's shown coming over and cooked dinner many a time, but the episode forgets that again.
She just like phases in and out of existence.
You have a note here, Dan. Your note says Andy gets a bad fucking idea.
Yeah.
They do this emotional abuse of a sad, broken human being. Clara does get a moment to do the speech. She's like, oh yes, you were practicing that speech. I'll deliver the speech now. Ciera.
Yes.
I'm going to drop something into chat.
Okay. Oh God.
Oh!
I have Lady Mayberry's soliloquy.
Oh,
Now
God.
I understand if you don't want to do this because it's a racist fucking speech, I would understand. But
The worst thing we've ever done to a guest? Up there, definitely.
But would you give us a reading of this?
A rendition.
And actually, if you need page breaks, for some reason when I copied and pasted it, it didn't give me like line breaks.
No, it's okay. It's all good. I'm just taking a look at this again. Ooh, Nugatook.
Ooh, you know what? Actually, I might cut this. If you don't want to say the part about the noble red man, I would understand.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Ooh. Yeah.
You can just say the noble redacted.
The noble redacted. Well, I mean, oh wow. All right, I'll give this a shot. Okay.
I'm so excited.
Okay. So wait, you want me to? Okay. All right. I'll just go. Eventide, the gentle rustling of the leaves, the birds seeking their nest. Oh, my happy valley, England, you're so far away. But hark! Do I hear the distant drums of war? Will the noble redacted man, I am not saying that, rise in all his fury? There lies the course of history. On one hand, we have the followers of James Merriweather, who came in ever-increasing numbers. And on the other hand, we have Nugatook, whose family have roamed these lands for generations. And now these people are gonna fuck these other people up, and they're gonna take them out and kill them all. It's genocide. It's a fucked up play. Come watch the rest of it. Woo! Thank you.
When you were delivering that, I also kind of realized, is that how this monologue ends? I get that you're setting the scene, but it feels like there should be like a line or two, it's introducing these star-crossed lovers, right?
Uh-huh.
Like there should be. It feels like we should say like, come and watch.
Weird fucking monologue. Like
it's very weird.
I didn't realize how weird it was until I heard Ciera say it.
Yeah, no, it's also really weird, even weirder to say it, because they're like equating, it's like, oh wow, let's put this genocide in a nice pastoral setting, with like some really, luscious, shrubs in the background, and let's just call it a day there.
So one thing that they do is Andy gets a speech while they are smoking peace pipe.
God damn it.
Yeah, where Nugatook says, white people are killing us with guns, and we're not enjoying it. We're genuinely not a fan. And Andy's response on behalf of the Maybury settlers is, we didn't do shit. And like basically, that's the other white people. We're the good white people. We're the white people that didn't do any genocide, and the white people that didn't do any genocide are the ones that are staying here. Don't worry about the other ones. They're not part of this. Which is conveniently the founding story for every town in America.
I was gonna say, like, that sounds a very familiar phrase. Like, no, that's not us. It's not us. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry.
It's in the past.
Yeah, that was done by the other ones. We're good. That's why it's okay for our basketball team name to be the Algonquins. Like, don't worry. We were cool. We were the good ones.
Ciera, thank you for being a good sport about that. That is, that was a terrible thing I did to you, and I'm sorry, but it was amazing audio.
You would have been well within your rights to log off and tell us to fuck ourselves. And burn us with Adam.
Oh God!
So thank you for that.
It's not. No, thank you. It's a terrible monologue, and no one should ever do it ever again.
No.
So Clara does a good version of this from memory, just to kind of show off and know that she can. A version much worse than Ciera did, just off the top of their head. And then she walks off. Aunt B, she goes back to the kitchen. Aunt B leaves, and then Andy and Opie, and he's getting Opie. He's teaching his son this shit. They just sit there and they watch, like, leeringly, just like, did it work? Did it work? Did it work? Ah, fuck, it didn't work. We didn't break her spirit. Oh no. Little do they know that her spirit has been broken. She goes around the back. She goes to the kitchen. She says, Clara, you take the role. I want to stay here and take care of my boys. And Clara leaves, and then they have a big moment of hugging. She comes in and does all the stuff. Fucking blah, blah, blah. And then Clara delivers the closing monologue in a way that says, hey,
It's okay.
It's all cool. We're all good now. We're gonna share this land. Just don't look around to see who else is here.
This is why we named your land after us, the colonizers. We have colonized in the best way. With a play.
and final joke of the episode is Barney is talking about how Aunt B just doesn't have any natural talent, and it's one of the things you either have or you don't, but you got to be cool about it. And then he gets cut because another man walks in wearing his headdress.
And then he almost physically assaults his replacement because Masters, in a brilliant stroke of management, decided to not tell the person that he was fired until he was immediately watching his replacement take the stage. Especially after giving Andy shit for not firing Aunt B. It was like, oh, what? Just get it over with. Just do it, man. Emotionally demolish your loved one. Who gives a shit? And then when it's his turn to fucking do that, he's like, oh, by the way, it just, he just ghosts him, basically.
Maybe he was trying to fuck Clara.
That's on the table. That tracks more.
No, Masters is gay.
Masters is gay.
Masters is gay. They definitely play him as like a scholarly actor type, if you get what I'm saying. Masters is gay.
Yeah,
Masters is gay. Ciera, can you give us any insight into like how a good director handles, well, let's say personnel disputes? How would a good director wouldn't do this play to begin with, but how could Masters improve? Let's give Masters a grade.
I mean, if Masters gave a shit about you have to care about I mean, of course every director is different, right? But what it takes to put on a good production is to have a good leader that cares about the people that are in the ensemble and actually really is connected to the play that is going to be produced, and the story and the actual journey that it takes that these characters, and not only just the characters go on, but the actors that they go on as well. So yeah, of course, be there and spend those 3 hours with fucking Aunt B and enjoy them and see how much she really enjoys telling this story. I'm being very serious about this because I genuinely loved Aunt B, and I think that she had a really good handle on what she wanted out of the show and what the show well, I mean, it's a bad show, but I feel like she was just willing to be molded into whatever view, whatever the story needed. I don't know, fuck Masters though. Masters should not be a director. He should not be with other people in that setting.
I think
that's my thought.
I think that character could have been literally anything. That could have been a tree, and Aunt B would have connected with it emotionally and would have found an angle to be passionate about it.
Because Aunt B is an actor. She is amazing.
Goddamn right.
So I do want to bring in sort of the meta narrative here, right? The background, the behind the scenes stuff. Please remember, we are in season 5 of this show, and what we know now is that Frances Bavier and Andy Griffith, probably at this point, they do not get along. In real life, behind the scenes,
real life,
they are not friends. And Frances Bavier, that is what we know. They did not get along. They were not friends. Frances Bavier died hating Andy Griffith, basically. And she wasn't very popular on the set. She was also an open lesbian. So Frances Bavier and as we pointed out, probably the best actor on the show, but I'm sure at this point she's getting sick of all the bullshit she has to do. Her character has been diminished to nothing. And so I cannot help but notice maybe there is some underlying meaning to the writers giving Frances Bavier an episode where Aunt B realizes she's not a good actor and quits. I cannot help but wonder if maybe they were dropping a giant hint to Frances Bavier that she was deliberately ignoring.
Or just
I am just theorizing this.
A fuck you episode?
I don't have a lot to back it up, but maybe.
Ooh, that's yikes.
It's an entire episode about how her character needs to get over herself and lower her expectations about how she should be treated by the people around her.
And stay in her fucking lane, yes.
And yet she still killed that show.
Yeah.
She still did it,
and
though.
She still destroys it. Like, it's still 100% her episode.
But damn, that's really fucked up if that was like the intention.
That one tracks. That one works. Yeah,
I'm
on board with that one.
Maybe.
I just want to bring up one thing that did drive me insane in terms of like talking about stuff that Masters should or should not have done. Why did they not do like an audition or a screen test with Aunt B before giving her the part? Why did they not do literally like have her run lines? Like, then they could have decided that they didn't like her for the part prior to it going into the fucking newspaper that she was playing the role.
Yeah, I don't understand the timeline here. Do they have like a week to open or what? Like, why? What is happening here? It's not fully clear. Also, this is one of my favorite kind of Andy Griffith bits where Andy himself is basically useless in his own show. Mm-hmm. He doesn't do dick in his own show.
Andy's plan to resolve this situation is basically is emotional abuse. Aunt B, I feel like her revelation kind of comes from herself more than Andy's manipulation. I feel like she actually kind of like sort of ignores his bullshit and kind of arrives at the conclusion she does in a healthy way of just like being happy for her friend. I feel like Andy's horrible evil plan doesn't really work, and instead she's just like, my friend's better at this than me and she's very happy doing it and I'm gonna give it to her. I feel like that's kind of that's the part of this episode that made me like, like feel something, was like, she's good.
The emotional climax of the episode is Aunt B kind of swallowing her pride and saying, you know what? I think Clara's a better actress than I am. And like, you can tell on Frances Bavier's face that it pains her. Yeah. I don't know if it pains Aunt B to say it or if it pains Frances Bavier to say it, but like the pain is on the face, but it gets said. It's good. She's good. Is that good for ratings?
Ciera, you got anything? Right. Anything? Any stray thoughts you wanna before we rate this sucker?
Before we rate it?
Oh yeah. Well, we're gonna rate the hell out of it.
I'm excited. Well, I mean, I felt so much at that moment, but I think you're right. It was a healthy conclusion that she came to on her own. It wasn't like she was like, that she gave into to Andy at that moment, but she did it for the integrity of the show, I think. So that was but it was still sad though. I wanted her to
sad.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, to me, the conclusion of the episode could have been she gets better at acting, like, and does the part and has a great time.
I wanted that. I wanted her to be. I wanted her to do it.
There's no reason it couldn't have been that. Like, they could have done shenanigans to make her a better actor. That would have been fun.
There are ostensibly acting coaches beyond Masters in town because Barney keeps saying that he's been to one, like voice coaches and shit. Like, Barney keeps talking about it. Or, I don't know, my God, Don Knotts is just sitting right there. He doesn't get to do any of his trademark shit. Give us a scene where Barney tries to make Aunt B a better actress. That would be funny. Let them rehearse together. Don Knotts and Francis Bobbier are both funny people, but they never get to be funny together. It would be nice if, like, as Don's on his way out, he gets to be like, hey, Francis, you want to do a bit? Yeah, fucking bullshit. All right, so
let's jump
Ciera,
to the ratings.
So Ciera, ratings.
Right,
So the way that we rate these episodes, we have two scales. We have the Andy meter and the Barney meter. The Andy meter is scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest. How much did you enjoy this piece of work? How much did you enjoy it as a half hour of television? And the Barney meter is how much psychic damage did this do on America?
How morally reprehensible did you find it?
How much did this break Granddad's brain?
Yeah.
And I am gonna go last on the Barney meter because I have notes.
Okay.
So let's start with the Andy meter.
Okay.
So scale of 1 to 10, 1 to 10 Andys. Ciera, how much did you enjoy this as a piece of television, as like a half hour?
Okay, as a piece of television. Okay, so I really enjoyed Miss B. She was my favorite. As a whole, I mean, okay, so I'm detracting from the play, so I think I have to say it's like a 4.5. 4.5. Well, no. Sorry. Okay, I'll say like as a piece. I mean, 4.5, 5. Yeah, I'll give it a 5 because I like On B, and I audibly chuckled. 5. Okay, I'll say 5.5 in total. 5.5 for Aunt B.
You're talking yourself up.
I am.
Ciera keeps talking themselves up.
because I really enjoy Aunt B, and she was carrying me through this. So I will say 5.5 just for Aunt B and the silliness of making a show. Yes.
I'm going 6 for Francis Bobbier alone. That's it.
Okay.
Francis Bobbier, yes. and I'm gonna give an extra half a point because I like Ron Howard in that brownie scene. Like,
yeah.
So I'm giving it a 6.
Honestly, it was pretty cute. I'm gonna say a 6.
Cute.
Yeah, like
okay.
A couple of chuckles. I think Francis Bobbier is really good, and those opening 2 scenes, like the fun Latin and the tongue twister bits, are really fun.
Mm-hmm. That was fun. It was cute. It's cute.
Wasn't like hilarious, but like it was nice.
I chuckled. Yeah, it was wholesome for some time.
Yeah.
For some parts.
And then let's get to the less wholesome parts.
Barney meter. Ciera, do you want to go first?
How morally reprehensible was this?
8.
Yeah.
8. Boom. Absolutely.
Right out of
8. You're going with an 8.
Right out of the
9?
gate.
Yeah.
Normally our guests agonize about this a little bit more, but you got
locked and loaded.
Yes, no, I'm upset at the way that these actors were treated. The story was told horribly, falsely, and just poorly for no real audience that would care about anything. And yeah, it was just character development shit. It was just terrible. It's bad for people to watch.
If we did anything less than a 7, we would be run out of town. We could never show our faces again.
But I bet the show has done worse. I'm leaving room for other yes.
In terms of racism, I think this is the high watermark. I think I might be misremembering, but I don't think they've done genocide apology before. I think that's a new one.
That's definitely new.
Yeah,
That's
definitely a new one.
Yeah,
that hasn't happened yet.
God.
They haven't done. They haven't.
I'm gonna have to say 9 then.
Yeah.
Just because
they haven't done the Sesame Street version of ethnic cleansing. So, so
that's what this is.
Yeah.
So Dan, what number are you putting it at?
I'm gonna put it at an 8. I'm gonna follow the lead. That feels right.
Okay. Yeah.
All right,
8, yeah, for sure.
I'm going with a 9, maybe even a 9.5. And I know that I beat this drum a lot, but I'm gonna tell you right now, right? I can trace at least 3 key tenets of modern day American conservative. Number 1, if you are a thing, and I perceive you as that thing, you can never be anything else. Do not try to be a different thing. And we talk about this on the show before, right? With how they treat criminals from Crime Island. If I perceive you as criminal, you can only ever be criminal. If I perceive you as like caregiver, woman in kitchen, you can never ever be anything else. If I perceive you as boy, you will always be a boy. You can never be anything like that. Idea that a person can only ever be one thing, and that's going to be how they are forever, is a key tenet right now. So that is number one. Number two is a continuation of number one, which is, and that goes double for women.
Mm.
So that's number two. And then the number three, like, key like component of modern day American conservatism that I can trace directly to this episode is white people have never done anything wrong ever, and we have nothing to apologize for. And even if we did do something wrong, that was then, and everyone is cool with it. And also they were cool with it too. And in fact, we asked our native friend, and they said they were cool with Barney wearing the headdress. And you're the real racist, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I asked my one friend. He was cool with it.
I asked my friend who was 1/16th Native American if this was cool, and he was like, "It's chill as hell. You can totally do this, bro. Like, go for it."
All the native friends we have who are just off screen laughing at this whole thing.
They're just not here right now. They're not here, but I swear they exist. I swear.
Yeah.
So a key context is in every scene there is a group of indigenous peoples just off screen, just like nodding and giving a thumbs up, just loving it.
Yeah, always. So adding to the list of things that you should remember are happening off screen and every episode of the Andy Griffith Show. Number one, remember that there is a line of young men just lining up to go to Vietnam. Mm-hmm. Just remember that's always happening just off screen. And a group of Native Americans just approving of things. Yes. That's they're happening. Actually, it's actually probably a group. Given the time, it's probably a group of old Italian men pretending to be Native Americans. That's probably what it is.
They got David Carradine pretending to be Native American just off screen.
What was that guy's name? His name was like Eagle Eyes Cody, and he was like from Sicily. And they put him in tons of westerns, and like he was the crying native in that like no pollution commercial. Like, man, ridiculous shit. So yeah, for that reason, I have to go with like a 9.5. Might even put it at 10. Ciera, for our listeners, where can they find you and what you're working on, and where can they come pay money to see you act?
Oh, yes. Please come pay money to see me do things on stage. This summer, you can catch me in Delaware we're doing Macbeth at Delaware Shakespeare in Rockwood Park. Come see me play Lady Macbeth. That'd be kind of
hell yeah.
Oh, dope. You're playing Lady Macbeth?
Yep.
That's me. I know I made you do a soliloquy already, but can we get a teaser?
You gotta pay money. No, I'm joking. No. We haven't started rehearsals yet, so we're starting next week. So
I won't do that to you.
Oh, okay. You're gonna do the hell out of that hand washing scene. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for. I was hoping for an out-damned spot.
You know what it is.
Yeah,
you know. We're a cultured fucking podcast.
Yeah.
All right, so. Anything else come see you in Delaware? Any websites or anything to plug?
I don't have any websites yet. I will still be working on that, but check out my Instagram. It is always.Ciera. Ciera spelled Ciera. I'm sure you can post a link to it. I'll send it to you.
Hell yeah.
That's just my Instagram. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Don't look for us on social media because we don't do it anymore. Elon ruined everything.
I guess somebody send us an invitation to Blue Sky if you have one. That would be cool. Probably. I don't know. Is that what we're doing?
We're gonna set up our own Mastodon server.
Yes.
That's I think the plan. No, Facebook group, Breaking Mayberry fans. Email us, breakingmayberry@gmail.com. Send us some, nice little notes. And support us with your money dollars. Patreon.com/BreakingMayberry. We're doing new stuff over there. We just released our very first DVD commentary. Dan and I gave an entire commentary track for the 1995 Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie, in which I go to bat for it.
Yeah, we kind of end up doing an impassioned defense for the Power Rangers movie.
I defend the artistic quality of 2/3 of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie.
And I accidentally kind of do a crime at the end.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. So if you want to hear us talk about that, or check a look at some of our other bonus episodes, or all sorts of the other cool stuff, including the fun stuff we're doing with people on Discord, support us with your money dollars, $8 a month on patreon.com/breakingmayberry. That is it for us, I think. Ciera, thank you again for being here. This is fantastic.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been so much fun.
Are you ever going to watch another episode of the Andy Griffith Show ever again?
I don't, it's kind of hard now after I started with this one, so I'm kind of a little deterred, but I think I will. I will. I'll check him out.
The answer is no.
I mean,
what are you talking about?
Yeah, no. I mean,
they're the first guests that said that they're going to watch the Andy Griffith Show. Let's savor this weird miracle.
I mean, like, if it was like y'all doing another podcast and it was like, and it was worth it, but would I go on my own accord? Probably not.
Yeah.
Not after this. Not after this experience.
You have no obligation to do that.
Okay, all right, then I probably won't.
But you can listen to 120 episodes of us doing this for you.
Right. This is
so
a lot better.
And so can everybody else. Thank you all for joining us. As always, we will see you all down at the fishing hole.
Boom,